Welcome to the Creative Coast's video podcasts, featuring Savannah's top thinkers, business people, innovators, and creators. With host B. Ray, director of the Creative Coast, and program director Sharice Bennett. What follows are interviews running on the Creative Coast's website this month. You can check out the podcasts day or night at thecreativecoast.org/blog.
Brick wall after brick wall after brick wall.
Hello and welcome to the front porch. Today we're chatting it up with Samara Theodore. Hello, Samara.
Hello. How are you doing?
Super. So happy to have you here.
Thank you. I'm happy to be here.
So you're a meteorologist.
I am indeed.
So when did you decide this is the career?
You know what? I was 5 years old and I was sitting in our living room in Stone Mountain, Georgia, and I was watching the movie Twister for the, 900th time. And I asked my mom, I said, Mommy, what are those people called? The ones who are chasing the storms? And she said, meteorologists. And I said, that's what I want to be. And it was that day. And it was great because the one thing I admire my mother for, she was always about pursuing your destiny. She always believed it was divine. And she also was such a free spirit that what it did was it created an atmosphere that was very conducive for dream chasing.
Wow.
It was awesome.
So dream chasing and storm chasing.
Yeah.
And you have chased some storms?
I have, locally I get in my car, look on the radar, but I've never done anything like out in Kansas and Oklahoma. I would love to do that one day though.
Well, we have had hurricanes.
You know what, I think can I say this? I'm looking forward to maybe another hurricane. I don't want anyone to get hurt ever, but you live for the thrill as a meteorologist. That's why you got into it, because you love and you're passionate about the storms. So.
Right. And you also have a heart for cultural diversity.
Yeah, definitely. As you know, we did the TED Talk previously in May, and I'm still always balancing between those two worlds of being Trinidadian and being American. And so one thing I always wanted to kind of get out there was the cultural diversity experienced by the first generation American. And it's definitely a world in itself, but I love it.
Tell me a little bit about Savannah for both of those worlds. What's unique about being a meteorologist here? What does it feel like as far as embracing cultural diversity in this city?
It's very different. I love it because it's pleasant, and the people are, for the most part, everyone I've met has been fairly kind and generous. So I like it because it's a very pleasant town. Being a meteorologist here is awesome because it's not too big, but it's not too small, so it gives me that opportunity to really connect with the viewer. I talk to my viewers on Facebook, on all venues and platforms of social media, and so it gives me a chance to really connect with them, feeling that Southern hospitality and that homey type of feeling. The weather here is pretty awesome. It's very active during the summer, lots of thunderstorms, and so that keeps me on my toes, keeps me working hard in the station and forecasting. As far as cultural diversity is concerned, I feel as though it's very diversified, actually. Being that it's a coastal city and a place a lot of people come to visit, you meet so many different types of people. And I think it's a very transient city as well, being that it's near many military bases. So there's so many people from all over, and you get the chance to just learn so much about the world without leaving. So.
Do you meet other Trinidadians?
Have I? Thanks, Samara. The Caribbean population, to be honest with you, I sit at home and watch Criminal Minds pretty much every day.
Okay.
So I need to get out more. But I don't think so. Not yet. But I'm hoping that there's a nice little Caribbean niche here. I'll have to research that.
So I know you talk to viewers all the time. Talk to the Savannah listeners and viewers about chasing their dreams.
Man. And that's what I'm passionate about. You find yourself wondering, how am I going to give back to society? How am I going to make an impact and leave a legacy? And I've always been kind of kooky, kind of goofy, so I never really found my niche in community service. But recently, I have been understanding the anatomy and the blueprint of dreaming. It's a process. And the first step to dreaming and fulfilling any type of dream is to be in an environment that is conducive to it. You have to surround yourself with people who are supportive and who you can make yourself vulnerable around. Your spirit needs to be free. And I think that's number one, and I think it's so integral into really chasing a dream. Another thing is just words of wisdom, surrounding yourself with people who can find or who can contribute words of wisdom. One thing, for example, I grew up in a house where we were surrounded by a lot of women, and they all have an opinion. I remember distinctly my grandmother telling me while I was in Brooklyn, she said, "Samara, your friends, they will take you, but they won't bring you back." And it was pearls of wisdom like that that really played an integral role in cultivating the woman I am today. So you want as much wisdom as you can. You want to seek it out, Also, I think, another point of word of wisdom that my mother gave me, don't tell everyone everything. Because not everybody will understand your vision because it was only meant for you to see. Not everybody will be supportive, and sometimes that can dampen your spirit, and that can stifle your desire to chase your dream. So I tend to hold my dreams very sacred. It's like a secret that a best friend gave me, and I protect my dream at all cost. I don't tell everybody about it. Right. And I think that those are some pointers I would give.
Wow, that's super encouraging and kind of sets a vision for anyone that they can either seek those supportive people or be those supportive people and or plant seeds in that environment.
Definitely.
Quirky. One last thought. What is an example of quirky Samara?
Gosh. Oh man. Boy, my friends would I wish they were here. They could explain it. I don't know. There's a dichotomy in my brain, and some days I am scientist, and other days I'm just so goofy, and I just love to have fun and to laugh. So I make random noises. When we're walking down the street to embarrass my friends, I make dolphin noises like. They get really annoyed by that. And sometimes I love music, so I try to make choreographed dances, knowing good well I cannot dance. So it's kind of the quirky side of me.
Awesome. Well, Samara, it's fabulous to see you again. Thank you so much for being a part of the podcast and being part of the Creative Coast.
Thank you for having me.
Hello and welcome to the front porch. Today we are chatting it up with Harry Delorme of Telfair, and you're the curator of all educational events. Is that correct?
I'm the senior curator of education for the museum. Yeah.
Awesome. So thanks for being here.
Oh, thanks for having me here. It's great.
And one of the things that I love that you do is the Pulse Festival. Tell me about the motivation behind that, the history, what you enjoy most.
Yeah, it's something that's exciting. It's something that I look forward to every year, and hopefully a lot of other people do as well. And it just stems from my own interest in, I made some videos as an artist a good while ago, and started getting interested in new media in the 1990s. And before the Jepson Center was built, we even began to show a little bit of new media. It was a little more difficult in our historic Telfair Academy building. But with the opening of the Jepson Center in 2006, I think we knew that we wanted to push a little further into showing new media at the museum. And also this idea of interactivity was very, very important to me. We created this children's museum space, the Artseum. We opened up the Jepson Center as well. And so since that time, since we opened that building, we've always had a small gallery where we've showed interactive new media art. And the Pulse Festival was really kind of an outgrowth of that. So really about a year after we opened up the Jepson in 2007, we presented our first art and technology series, which grew into the Pulse Festival.
Great. And so all of the camps and the things that happen at Telfair, that's under your responsibility?
It's in my department. I mean, I've got some really wonderful and talented folks, artists and educators who work with me in the Telfair's education department. And between us, we do hundreds of programs and reach thousands of people every year, and something that we're really passionate about.
Right. And you welcome children in schools into the museum as well every year?
Oh, we do lots of school tours. We see all of the fourth graders in the Savannah-Chatham County Public Schools, a program that's been going on for quite some time, and we do
Decades, I believe.
yes, many decades actually. In fact, the museum was doing school programs back as early as the 1930s in Savannah. But the program we do today really is focused on getting kids to look at art carefully, to make observations, to talk about it, to think critically. And we often incorporate a drawing activity, which also increases their powers of observation, and usually some kind of a writing activity as well. So we're really trying to pull in critical thinking, language arts into the tours that we do at the museum with schools. And that's just one of the types of tours that we do. We do tours for all ages, we do pre-K programs, all kinds of things.
So what does it mean? How, in what ways does art impact children and education and growth and future? What does it mean to Savannah to have some of the programs you have?
Well, I think our overarching philosophy in the educational programs we do is empowering people through art. And that's something very important to us, whether it's, teaching kids how to look and to think critically. I think these are really, really important things. For me, it's not as important that they remember that this artist was, born in this country and died in a certain place. That sort of thing is great. That's part of the history. But to me, that's not the most important thing. The important thing is to develop those critical thinking skills, to develop their powers of observation, and to make them feel comfortable around art, and to want to talk about it and look at it, to slow them down. I think the same thing goes for a lot of the classes and the camps we do. We do a video game camp, for example, which is, we've shown video game art for the Pulse Festival, and part of the challenge is to get the kids out of just thinking of themselves as consumers of these things, but really think about themselves as creators, and that they have the ability to do these things themselves if we can kind of get them started and get them thinking about that. So another component of what we do extensive outreach programs, and we do programs that are targeted to social service organizations, individuals with special needs. We're doing outreach programs at places like the VA clinic, where there's a really terrific group of artists, painters working. So all that's also part of this idea that art is an empowering thing, that self-expression and art can be a great tool that helps us all as individuals.
Can you describe one of those light bulb moments where you saw someone first see him or herself as a creator versus as a consumer?
Sure. Yeah. I mean, just to follow through on one of the examples I just mentioned. We have this really wonderful exhibition that we've been doing for about 20 years now, called I Have Marks to Make. And it's the outgrowth of a lot of our outreach programs, and it also shows a lot of work from the community, from pre-K kids to seniors. And I mentioned the veterans group earlier, and there's just some really wonderful guys, and some of them have seen some really, in some cases terrible experiences in their lives, and some of them have suffered from PTSD and so on. But a light bulb moment for me came when a couple of years ago at I Have Marks to Make, when one of the veterans got on stage, and was just so obviously proud of his accomplishments, and it wasn't so much the idea that, oh, I'm a professional painter now or anything, but art was something that really had a great impact on him, meaning for him. He thanked us for including him in this kind of situation, this kind of exhibition in this place, in a museum. And that kind of validation, I think, that we can give by showing work, whether it's by students, young students, whether it's by older people, again, whether they're professional artists or if there's someone who's just picked up art on their own, or if they're experiencing art for the first time. It's important for us to, I think, provide that kind of validation for what they're doing, and share those stories with a larger public.
Awesome. Well, Harry, I just love what you do. I thank you so much for being a part of Telfair, Savannah, and the Creative Coast.
Great. Thanks, Bea. I appreciate it.
you have it. Welcome to the front porch. We have Jay Rudd. Welcome.
Thanks, good to see you.
It's great to have you here. And you're the co-founder of the Savannah School for Folk Music.
That's right.
Fabulous. Obviously, you know what you're doing.
I can pick a little bit, yeah.
And when did you start to play music?
Well, we always had music in the house growing up. My mom played piano. She had us in church choir when I was a kid. Got a guitar when I was 12 and got playing in the church band. And then I did the whole rock band, garage band thing in high school. Went to college to study engineering, actually, and got interested in the banjo while I was there. I was really into a folk singer called Sufjan Stevens, and I was kind of mesmerized by the sound of the banjo and everything. And so I got a banjo, and actually through that is when I got into traditional music, because I found a guy named Patrick Costello on the internet giving free banjo lessons. So I learned clawhammer banjo and met some musicians in Atlanta and then got playing with them. But then I graduated, had to go get the engineering job, so I moved down to Brunswick and met some bluegrass musicians in Savannah through that, through some musicians I had played with in Atlanta. So that was about 3 years ago. We eventually started a band called City Hotel, and we've been gigging ever since then.
Fabulous. And where did you grow up?
I was a military brat, so kind of grew up everywhere in the South. I was in high school near Atlanta and then went to college in Atlanta, so that's kind of home for me. But
Right.
my family's from Carolinas, so I guess I don't really have a home. But
Well, welcome to Savannah then.
Thanks.
Tell me about the school.
Well, my friend Amy Drew, who I believe has been on your podcast before, she's got a school, Miss Amy's School of Music, and I've known her for a while. I got teaching down in Brunswick, actually earlier this year. One of my coworkers at work wanted to learn guitar, so I started teaching him, and I came to found that I enjoy that a lot more than my day job. So I had this idea, and I want to move to Savannah at some point and do this full time. And I had this idea floating around, maybe some years down the road, start a music school called Savannah School of Folk Music. About a month ago, I was talking to Amy, and she said she wanted to start another school. And I said, yeah, me too, so let's do it. So we just started working on it.
Fabulous.
Yep.
Isn't that great? So you serve children, adults?
Yep, we've got, right now we're teaching group classes for kids, and we've had 2 of them this month already, and then we've got an adult class coming up, another kids class, and then I've got some private students. And it's all guitar and banjo right now.
Great. And no more engineering at all?
No, I actually within a week of talking to Amy about starting a school, I put in my 2 weeks notice.
Wow.
Kind of took it as a sign that now is the time to do it. So.
Now, I've heard that engineering and math is actually really closely tied to music.
I remember one of my professors telling me that. He said, seems like chemical engineers always play music too. And I remember there was a band of professors at school of musicians, and I don't really know why. I guess rhythm is very mathematical, and so it kind of maybe takes the same kind of personality to want to play music and want to do engineering. But
Maybe some part of your sales pitch is you sign up more children. A lot of moms care about the job. Where is this leading? But you never know. Some of
Yeah.
it's just for enjoyment, right?
yeah, I mean, that's what music always was for me. It was just kind of therapeutic. It's always been there for me, and I really never thought it would be a career, but I've been really fortunate, and what I want to do with the school is to try and give other people the opportunity to have music in their life. A lot of people will talk about, well, I don't really play because I'm just not musical or whatever. And it's a shame because it's really not true. I mean, I'm a firm believer that anybody can play, if they really want to, and if they try, if they don't let their mind get in the way of it. And that's what I want to do with the school, is to offer a place where people are going to feel comfortable. We're not going to overwhelm with all kinds of music theory right at the beginning. We really just want to teach people this is how you play, this is how you jam with people. All the teachers that we're going to get involved are gigging musicians, so they know what it takes to be able to play in front of people and that sort of thing. So.
And Savannah seems like a welcoming, ripe environment to start such a school and to...
Yeah, I mean, there's nothing like it here, and Savannah is kind of an ideal town for a working musician because there's a lot of great bands, but there's so many places to play. It's not a completely flooded market. I mean, living in Atlanta, I never made any money playing music or anything because there's just so many bands. But it's not as big of a scene in Savannah, so as far as gigs and that sort of thing, Savannah's ideal. And of course, you got a large population, lots of kids and adults that want to learn to play. So.
Well, fabulous. Well, Jay, I'm so happy to meet you. Thank you for being a part of our podcast, The Front Porch, the Creative Coast, and certainly an important part of Savannah.
Thanks.
Thank you. Hello and welcome to The Front Porch. Today we are chatting it up with Patrick Bentley.
Hi, how you doing?
I'm delighted to have you here. How are you?
I'm great. I'm happy to be here. It's a great space.
Thank you.
Thanks for inviting me.
Of course. So you are the founder of
Urban STEM.
Urban STEM.
Right.
And tell me what STEM means.
So STEM is an acronym and it stands for Science, Technology, Engineering, and Mathematics. And basically there's a huge push nationally for more students to take an interest and be exposed into those fields. And also to create more people with bachelor's degrees in those fields. And so Urban STEM as an organization is basically there to expose these children, particularly in underserved areas, to expose them to science, tech, engineering, and mathematics.
And how's it going?
It's going awesome. So this is our first year in existence, and so far we've done 2 pilot programs. The first was at WW Law, went very well. This summer we did a 4-week summer program. And now we are in talks with 21st Century about becoming a vendor and possibly working at some after-school programs in the school system here. We're also working with Woodsville Tompkins for their after-school program as well. So things are picking up. It's been a great response in the community for it, and I'm really happy.
Awesome.
Thanks.
So tell me the age range that you
Okay,
serve?
so really there's no age range. Right now we've been focusing on middle school and high school students. So Woodsville Tompkins is a high school, and the kids that we had this summer were from age 12 to 16, so they were a mix. The people who are the students who are the most receptive to it tend to be, high school students or older kids. So, or at least it's been easier for us to deliver those services to those kids. So we've been kind of focusing on that right now, but the plan is to eventually spread to elementary school and, kind of make that our focus, because the earlier you introduce these kids to it, the better.
And what about you personally? You have skills in computer technology?
Right. So me personally, I actually am a web designer. I would call myself an amateur web designer. I've just started to do it professionally and charge people for it. So that has really been exciting, and it's kind of my personal narrative is something that I use all the time, to kind of speak to how life-altering, being introduced to these things can be. So a year and a half ago, I didn't know anything about, computer programming, HTML, none of that. And so I've gone from knowing nothing to being able to deliver a professional grade product in about a year, which is really cool. I'm not a genius, I've just, have been fortunate enough to be exposed to, those fields. And so it's something that I'm excited about. And I'm actually learning Ruby right now, and just going to continue to explore that and, hopefully get better and make more money doing it.
Great.
Yeah.
And is that the end game with these kids? Is a career in technology?
The end game, I would say several. Definitely, the statistics show that there are going to be, in the next 10 years, about 1.4 million jobs that open up in STEM fields. And there are only going to be about 400,000 people to fill those jobs. So there are going to be 1 million jobs that are open that we're not going to have people who are qualified to do. So absolutely, I think, one of the end goals is definitely to create career fields. And of course, STEM fields statistically are paid higher than most jobs. So particularly speaking to me, being an African-American male, and wanting to service underrepresented communities, I think that it's extremely important, you know, in terms of economic power and economic freedom, you know, and being self-sufficient, that we kind of introduce them to fields where they can do that, right? But another goal, I would say, is to just encourage people to be, or to take advantage of the opportunity to create your own narrative, create your own reality. I think that one of the biggest things to me, or one of the, I guess, most fulfilling experiences, has been the opportunity to take charge of my life, you know, and be able to be self-employed, you know, and also to be able to contribute to, you know, the production of information, you know, that, you know, affects the community. You know, I think that, you know, in Savannah and Georgia, and also in the country, I think that we have to encourage people to take a part in, you know, society. You know, I think that too many of us sit back and let things happen to us, you know. So I think that one of the things that we're trying to instill in these children is to be proactive and to contribute, you know. And, you know, when you contribute, you can complain a little bit more because you actually did some work, you know. So that those are end goals. I think that also we just want to increase the interest in minority students, you know, women as well, and just really create some cool things. I mean, I think that we want to give people a chance to innovate, you know, and what better way than with technology.
And you do have a bachelor's degree yourself.
I do. I have a bachelor's degree in psychology from Morehouse College. So Morehouse is an all-black, all-male university in Atlanta. And we've had some pretty illustrious alumni: Martin Luther King, Howard Thurman, Spike Lee. The list goes on and on. And when I was there, my specialty was research. So I'm actually a published author. And I've had the chance to do some really cool things with research and statistical analysis, and it was a great opportunity. And so that in itself is another reason why I kind of started Urban STEM. That experience for me was life-changing. You know, it kind of informed me about a lot of talents that I didn't know I had, as well as a lot of weaknesses that, you know, I hadn't been aware of up to that point, and really kind of made me start to respect myself as an intellect, you know, and realize that I have something to contribute that is uniquely mine, you know, because of my background and who I am. And I feel like, you know, without those opportunities to be in these creative spaces and be around people who have done what you want to do, or just to do things that you would have never done otherwise, right? Like, I think that that's really important, you know, and I don't think that I would be sitting here talking to you right now if it wasn't for that experience, you know. And so, you know, that's also one of the things that I would like to help do, is to inspire people and encourage them and empower them as well.
That is fabulous,
Thank
Patrick.
you.
I really respect myself as an intellect.
Thanks.
It is a delight to have you here today. Thank you for being a part of the Creative Coast,
Right.
of our podcast at the Front Porch, and certainly contributing to Savannah.
Cool. I appreciate it. Thanks, Pete.
Thank you.